Before we talk about cloud computing, before servers, containers, Kubernetes, or AWS, we need to talk about something much more basic, something so fundamental that we usually forget to define it: ownership. Because cloud computing, at its core, is not just a technical shift. It is a shift in ownership. So let's start from zero. When you own something in the physical world, ownership usually means three things. First, control. You decide how the thing is used. Second, responsibility. If it breaks, it's your problem. And third, risk and cost. You paid for it, you maintain it, and you absorb the loss if something goes wrong. If you own a car, you choose where it goes, you pay for repairs, and if it stops working, you deal with the consequences. This simple idea of ownership is deeply ingrained in how we think. Now let's slowly move toward computing. Before cloud computing existed, most companies owned their computing infrastructure. They bought physical servers. They stored them in data centers. They owned the hardware, the cables, the power supply, and the cooling systems. Ownership here meant you controlled the machines. You maintained the machines. You paid for the machines whether they were used or not. This is often called on-premises computing. And for decades, this was the default model. But something interesting happened. As software systems grew more complex, ownership started to become a burden rather than an advantage. Servers failed. Traffic was unpredictable. Hardware aged. Scaling took weeks or months. Owning everything gave you control, but it also gave you friction. And this is where cloud computing enters the story. Cloud computing does not eliminate ownership. It rearranges it. Instead of asking, "Do I own this server?" cloud computing asks, "Which parts of the system do I still need to own?" This question changes everything. Let's break ownership into layers. At the lowest level, we have physical buildings, power supply, networking cables, physical servers. Above that, operating systems, runtime environments, applications, data. In traditional computing, you owned almost all of these layers. In cloud computing, ownership becomes selective. You give up ownership of some layers in exchange for simplicity, speed, and scalability. For example, when you use a cloud provider, you no longer own the physical servers. You don't decide where they are located inside the data center. You don't repair them. You don't replace failed disks. That ownership is transferred to the cloud provider. But, and this is critical, not all ownership disappears. You may still own your application logic, your configuration, your data, your security decisions. Cloud computing is not someone else handles everything. It is ownership is redistributed. This is why misunderstanding ownership leads to many cloud failures. People assume, if it's in the cloud, it's not my problem. That is almost always wrong. The cloud provider owns the infrastructure. You still own the outcomes. If your data is exposed, if your system is misconfigured, if your application is insecure, the responsibility is still yours. Ownership didn't vanish, it just moved. This idea becomes clearer with a simple analogy. Think about renting an apartment. You don't own the building. You don't maintain the elevator. You don't fix structural damage. But you still own how you use the space, what you store inside, whether the door is locked. Cloud ownership works the same way. You rent computing capability, but responsibility for how it's used remains with you. And this trade-off is intentional. Cloud computing optimizes for speed of deployment, elasticity, reduced upfront cost. In exchange, you accept less direct control over physical resources. This is not good or bad by default. It is a design choice. As we go deeper into cloud topics, You'll see this ownership shift appear everywhere. In infrastructure as a service, you own more. In platform as a service, you own less. In serverless computing, you own even less, but you still own the logic and the consequences. Ownership becomes a sliding scale, not a binary switch. So if you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. Cloud computing is not about giving up ownership. It's about choosing what not to own. And mastering the cloud starts with understanding exactly where that boundary lies.